Welcome to the Crazy Chicken People podcast. If you're crazy for chickens, you're in the right place. Hello, everyone, and thank you for checking out the Crazy Chicken People podcast with me, Thomas Xenos. I wanted to use this first recording to tell you a little bit about myself, my love for chickens, why I started this podcast, and what you can expect in future episodes. So, a little background on me. A few years ago, my wife and I moved out of the suburbs of Sacramento. We bought a 5-acre farmhouse outside of town, and super excited to get out here. This had always been a dream for me. I grew up outside of Lodi on a little horse ranch, and my wife grew up in Alaska, actually sort of in the mountains of Alaska. So we were both accustomed to not living in the city for at least a good chunk of our life. Our two sons, on the other hand, they've only known neighborhood living until moving here. So that was an adjustment for them. They missed having their friends close by, having a park down the street, ice cream man, things like that. But I think once they got out here and they saw the freedom that was available to them and the go-karts that we got them, that they could now drive around on their own property, and all the animals that we ended up bringing in, they really took to it. And this just made us so happy. For quite some time now, it had been my dream to get back out here into the country, raising animals, really getting back to the way that I grew up because I loved it so much. I remember times in FFA showing animals at the fair, hanging out around barns, hanging out in dairies with my friends. It was the best. It was the best time of my life, and I think the best way for a kid to grow up if given the opportunity. When I saw that chance to share those same experiences with them, I couldn't pass it up. It felt risky. It was a big change for us, for the whole family. But looking back now, I mean, no regrets. Just so happy we did it. So not long after we'd gotten settled in our new place, we were contacted by a friend of ours who needed some help rehoming some goats and a donkey. They had belonged to somebody that could no longer care for them, and we were already looking to get goats. A donkey wasn't really on my radar, but we said sure, and it was within a couple of days we brought home OJ and Matilda, our Nigerian and Boer goats, and Wendell, our donkey. We actually named our farm after him, Wendell Farms. He's awesome. He's a big old love bug. And I remember how excited the whole family was to get them home and seeing the kids take to them and hugging the goats, brushing Wendell and giving him treats. It was amazing. It was everything that I was hoping for when we moved out here. And it really motivated me to kind of keep going down this road and bringing in more animals. So that's what we did. Fast forward, a couple of years since then, we've got 5 goats, 6 baby doll sheep, 2 of which were bred and born right here on the farm, which was so cool. And of course, we've got a lot of chickens, and it's just been amazing with all of them. They're like a big family to us, and it's better than what I could have hoped for. And that's not to say that it's been easy, because it's definitely not easy. There's been some sad times. I've delivered a stillborn goat. I've been out well past my bedtime looking for missing animals, always having found them, thankfully. I've slept in a barn while taking care of our wounded sheep. So there's highs and lows, and there's been times I've asked myself, is it worth it all? Is it worth the heartache and the long hours and all the other things that you sacrifice so that you can have a life like this? But I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's absolutely worth it. And I could never even see going back to, a normal way of life. And I say that because I've got to experience so many amazing things here on this farm. Seeing those 2 baby lambs born was definitely right up at the top of that list. But the thing that I did not expect was the passion that I have found for raising chickens. It's really become my main focus out here, and kind of surprisingly, because it definitely did not start that way. Early on, I wasn't even sure if we were going to have chickens out here. I really only remembered raising chickens as a kid. And so, really, my parents' chickens, and I had to feed and water them and collect eggs, but that was just all something I had to do before I was allowed to go out and run amok on the countryside. So, it wasn't my favorite memory of life on the ranch. But it seemed like our farm wouldn't be complete without them. I mean, who doesn't have a rooster crowing when the sun comes up or when it goes down or in the middle of the night? As it turns out, they crow all the time. So we started building our flock, and my wife was actually the one who initiated the purchase. The first chicks were seven little silkies. And at that point, I had only seen this breed one time. And I remember thinking, like, this small bird is not suited for life on the farm. There's just no way. But we brought him home and set up a brooder, and I started working on a coop because they were ours now. So, funny thing about that chicken coop, and I look back and think, was that when it all started? But I did not go and look up what type of chicken coop to build for a silkie. In hindsight, I should have, but I just built what in my head seemed like a great chicken coop. And it actually was and still is. We still have it and it's got birds in it. But I didn't realize that the silkies were not going to like going up a ramp. So it took about 2 weeks of me going out every morning before I left for work and every night before I went to bed, putting the silkies inside, taking them back out, making sure that they had everything they needed because they were not doing it themselves. So it didn't take very long until I was like, okay, but I have to build a new coop for the silkies, which I did. Well, one of several silky coops that we now have. But at the time, I was like, well, now we've got an empty chicken coop. I guess we better start getting some more birds. And I would say that was the beginning of my transformation into full-on chicken guy. So since then, we've added quite a few. We now have over 20 silkies, somewhere right around there. Just hatched out a few and have more in the incubator. So that number will go up again soon. But yeah, like 20 silkies and 50-ish or so other chickens spread out across several coops or free ranging. And growing this flock has been one of the most enjoyable things I have done. And I never expected that these small animals would hold such a piece of my heart. There's no place anywhere that I find the kind of peace that I experience just sitting and watching my chickens in the evening. I can sit there for hours just watching them scratch around and interact with each other or interact with the other animals. The chickens and the goats have created quite a relationship with each other, and it's beautiful to see our yard rooster. In fact, with the goats is something out of a book. This guy will jump up on the back of a goat, flap his wings a little bit and crow, jump over to another goat. It's almost like I say that he's showing his dominance. I do believe that's what he's doing. He's Darth Vader, right? So, of course, he's in charge out there. It's just awesome. The chicken yard has become my happy place. If I'm not down there hanging out with the chickens, then I'm probably trying to learn more about them, how to better care for them, how to treat them when they get ill, how to keep their environment safe and healthy, how to better protect their coop, which is, as you all probably know, fighting predators off is a constant battle. But that's part of it. It's like there is no end to learning more about chicken keeping. And I love it. And I love talking to people about it. I love hearing about what other people are finding success in or how chicken keeping has made a positive impact in their life. And that's why I started doing this podcast, I guess. It's really just that. It's engaging with other people about something that I'm passionate about. And since there's really only a couple of people in my life that I feel like I can have engaging conversations with about chickens, I thought, why not step out of my comfort zone, try something new, and start a podcast? I don't know exactly where it's going to go or even exactly what I expect from it, but I'm super excited to try it. I'm a pretty big fan of podcasts myself, and especially lately, I've been listening to a lot of them about chickens. You may have heard Bach Talk. It's great. If you're into chicken conversation and learning more about chickens, I would absolutely recommend that one. It's really good. Now, I know I'm not going to be on that level right now, but I think I'm enjoying this. And I hope that with some time and some practice, that I can also put together a really fun and informative show for people who have a passion for chicken keeping like I do. I'd like to plan to cover one or two topics a week. I've already met some people that would like to be interviewed and come on the show, local breeders, other folks with small farms. And I would actually love to have somebody on here just like myself, just another backyard chicken keeper who's passionate about it and has really funny chicken stories, because you know that there's a ton of those out there and I love to hear them. But I also, hope to learn some things through this. I think there's always more to learn about taking care of them, especially the little health problems that can pop up with chickens, especially when you have a lot of chickens. It's like you're almost always going to be dealing with something. So there's just so much to learn out there. So I'd love to bring on some local breeders, poultry veterinarians, breed experts, just about anyone that's willing to sit down and talk to me for 20, 30 minutes about chickens is welcome on the show. So I hope you'll join me for this adventure. I'm super excited to get it going. I can't wait to record a couple of episodes and get them cleaned up and posted out there and just kind of see what happens from there. Would love some feedback. Would love to hear what you liked or didn't like, or especially what you would like to hear more of in the future. Heck, if you'd like to be on the show, shoot me an email, crazychickenpeople@yahoo.com. Would love to hear from you, and thank you for listening.